Rest in peace, TikTok. You were interesting while you lasted. And if you're watching this video, that means that TikTok has been fully banned in the United States of America. Millions of young people across the country are experiencing withdrawals from the most powerful digital copium ever created, and it's going to be downright brutal for some people. I'm expecting widespread panic in the streets that escalates to full-on protests and maybe even riots. There will certainly be online protests. There will be mass migrations of users to other platforms. And so many parents that decided to let their kids be pacified by scrolling on TikTok are going to be dealing with weeks of full-blown meltdowns when their kid can't just scroll themselves to sleep. And honestly, I don't feel the slightest shred of empathy for those parents, because it's a horrible thing to let your nonverbal infant children grow up scrolling addictive apps that ruin their brains. And this is the first time that I'm aware of that any Western country has outright banned such a large app. And I don't think there is a more influential app on the planet right now than TikTok. I personally don't like TikTok, even though I worked there and made content there. But I do think that this ban is an overall bad thing. It's supposed to protect us from the influence of a foreign adversary, but there's nothing in place to protect us from domestic adversaries doing exactly the same things that TikTok has been doing. So now only companies like Google, Facebook, and X can try to manipulate the brains of your children. Isn't that better? Yay! As you can tell, I've got some very strong opinions about this, and I'll be sharing them after we take about 30 seconds to a minute to do some rapid fire questions about the TikTok ban to explain how we got here. And I went in depth on these in a different video that I linked down there below. But why did TikTok get banned? Well, it's an extremely influential social media app with deep ties to the Communist Party of China, and it gave China the opportunity to have a wildly disproportionate influence on the opinions of Americans. The app harvested an outrageous amount of data about us. Democrats wanted it banned primarily for security concerns, and Republicans actually agreed for the most part. Up until somewhat recently, Republicans also wanted TikTok banned because it was sort of a bastion of progressivism, and Democrats were also concerned that the app was ruining the attention spans and creating behavioral difficulties in children. So there's a couple of little pieces here. But anyway, it's one of those rare instances where our parties got together and agreed that due to the security concerns, the influence of China, and maybe some of these other issues, that it was best to just straight up ban TikTok. So they did. The next question is, why did TikTok immediately shut down? Well, it's slightly cheaper to just turn the servers off than leave them on for the few scraps of people that can actually access them. It's also a lot more damaging to American politicians if people flip out. And they probably didn't want to be liable for people using outdated apps, because the ban only prevents the company from updating the app and maintaining live services and stuff. So what would happen is Americans could still use the app and VPN and use an outdated app in a different country or something like that. And the more out of date that app is, the more likely it is it can be hacked. Eventually somebody will be hacked, and eventually somebody will sue TikTok blaming their app's security. So they want to avoid liability, which is why they're going fully dark, kind of like how Pornhub in Texas wants to avoid being sued, so it just decided to go fully dark. A lot of people want to ask, how can you access TikTok now? I guess VPNs. You'll probably have to download a VPN, pay for it, get a good one, NordVPN, something like that, and then use your VPN to connect to the App Store in the UK or Canada or Australia somewhere, change some settings on your phone to make it look like you're in that country, and then you can use the very slow VPN speeds to scroll through TikTok and have a lesser experience. So there's a lot of workarounds with VPNs, but none of them are going to be very fun. Now it's time for my opinions about this situation, which I'm not sure how fun they are, but here we go. I think this ban is a bad thing because it happened for all the wrong reasons. We didn't ban TikTok because the algorithm is addictive. We didn't ban TikTok because it can condition human behavior. We didn't ban TikTok because we know that it ruins the attention spans of every age demographic. No. We didn't ban TikTok for using dark patterns to prompt people to spend money. We didn't ban TikTok for being a misinformation super spreader. We didn't ban TikTok because it was spying on us and collecting all of our private data. And finally, we didn't ban TikTok because it sold all of that private data to advertisers or to shady data brokers. No. We banned TikTok because the Communist Party of China does all those things through the app. If Mark Zuckerberg wants to steal your private data through Facebook, it's fine because he's American. If Elon Musk wants to use the X algorithm to suppress a story to benefit his politics, that's fine because it's American. If Sundar Pichai, the current CEO of Google, wants children to get addicted to YouTube Shorts and comes up with a scheme to increase the addictiveness of the platform, that's fine because he's an American. If an American tech company does a bad thing, that's fine because we're the one doing the bad thing, even though we're kind of doing the bad thing to ourselves. It's like the old joke saying, hey, nobody beats my wife but me. It's what we've decided is that the Communist Party of China can't do all these things, but it's totally fine if our tech oligarchs can do those things to us. The politicians responsible for banning TikTok didn't even bother to address similar issues with American tech companies. The European Union did. They passed the GDPR, which provides a broad set of powerful consumer-friendly protections for the EU internet. That's one of the only reasons that you as a gamer can download your private data from Activision and see your skill rating is because of the GDPR. Ironically, American tech companies like Google and Facebook are forced to be more consumer friendly and protect people in Europe, and they don't have to do hardly any of that in the United States. Also ironic that after TikTok gets banned, the ban is going through, Zuckerberg and Elon are already lobbying for the incoming Trump administration to try to force Europe to change its consumer protections so that American apps can operate more profitably in the region, which means more dark patterns, more data harvesting, more misinformation, more manipulation of the algorithm. It's just downright cursed, and they're going to use all of their political capital to try to force the European internet to be like ours, and ours is just a farm. Guys, they're treating us like, I feel like it's Animal Farm, like we're the pigs up next for the slaughter, and what they're trying to capture is your brains. It's bad if the Communist Party completely captures your brain and enslaves you to an algorithm, but man, if Mark Zuckerberg does it, that's just good old American innovation. And that's what I think is wrong about this whole situation. A lot of these apps are detrimental to our mental health and to society, and we know that. We know that there are laws, there are regulations, there are things that can be put in place to protect your brains, the brains of your children, and the brains of your grandchildren from being influenced by all this nonsense. Our popular apps don't have to be that bad. We could do better, but we don't. We don't care about any of those bad things happening at all. We just want to make sure that we're doing it to ourselves instead of somebody else doing it to us, which I absolutely hate. And also it feels bad because this has never happened before. It feels very dystopian to me. And that's a word that I've used a lot lately, but it keeps being relevant to what we're talking about here on the channel. Because about a third of America, myself included here in Texas, got Pornhub banned, so that's a website that I can't go to. And now TikTok is banned for the entire country. So suddenly you had this free, open, accessible internet that you could do whatever, and now what huge, monolithic, powerful, influential websites that I thought would be around for hundreds of years are just disappearing. They're getting banned. It's so bizarre. It feels like our internet is building a wall around itself, and that's not a MAGA build the wall joke. What I'm talking about is balkanization. We're building an American internet, there's a Chinese internet, there's a Russian intranet, a little bit more than internet, and then the European Union kind of has its own thing going on. The world is segmenting into various internets with less and less communication between the two. And in America, we're just sealing ourselves off from the rest of the world so that malevolent tech overlords can harvest our brains without fear of competition. I don't know, man, it just feels bad when all these sites get banned. I've never seen anything like this in my life. I don't know how to deal with this. I don't know what the internet's going to look like moving forward, but I'm super nervous. And that's my opinion about the TikTok ban. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something useful. If you did, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Drifter out.